Hello and welcome to the Golden Playbook. Week 2 is upon us. We are going to recap Thursday night game between the Green Bay Packers and Washington Commanders. And after we recap that game, we're going to do something a little bit different today and scroll through some of the fantasy football Facebook groups, people who are asking for start-sit advice. I'm going to go ahead and share my opinions on that. Maybe you guys have similar start-sit decisions to make, or just kind of get you thinking about who you are wanting to put in your starting lineup for week 2. If you have your own start-sit questions, make sure you drop them down in the comments. I will be sure to get to them before Sunday's game starts. Without further ado, let's hit the Thursday night game. A 27-18 victory by Green Bay, and their offense looked fantastic despite being down their right guard and right tackle, which is a little bit to explain Josh Jacobs' kind of inefficiency. Got 23 carries, but only had 84 yards and a touchdown. Obviously came through fantasy-wise off pure volume alone. With that being said, you love to see not another running back had a carry in this game for Green Bay. So Josh Jacobs is going to continue to be the workhorse on the ground as through the air. Tucker Kraft coming out party, absolutely huge game, and it's a little bit more sweeter. I picked him up and put him in my starting lineup before this game. So feeling pretty good about that. Jordan Love looked pretty good, did miss Matthew Golden on a couple deep bombs, so obviously a big disappointing game for Matthew Golden, although only having 2 targets is a little bit worrisome in this offense. I know Jaden Reed did break his collarbone in this game, so out at least 6 to 8 weeks, if not more. So that injury does consolidate things a little bit for Green Bay. I think Tucker Kraft is a must-start week in, week out. I think Romeo Doubs is an interesting guy. Ended up having a touchdown catch in this one. And we keep expecting the rookie Matthew Golden to kind of break out, burst out, but he's just not getting the usage we are wanting. Dontavian Wicks has 6 targets, 4 for 44, and they're using so many guys rotating in and out. So it's very, very hard to kind of pinpoint who to start in these Green Bay receiving core outside of Tucker Kraft. As for the Washington side of things, this was an all-time disaster class on the part of Cliff Kingsbury. Green Bay's defense is obviously much improved with Micah Parsons kind of getting traded there, but they looked absolutely horrendous. Green Bay defenders were not getting pushed vertically at all. They were sitting on the short routes and just able to break up route after route after route. With that being said, unfortunately, Austin Eckler did tear his Achilles in this game, so it is going to become the Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt show, but it did look like Jeremy Nichols was still in on third downs and 2-minute drill stuff. So JCM should become the early down guy. Hopefully his workload and kind of his usage improves. They desperately need that spark to be brought to their offense. As for receiving, Zach Ertz came home 6 for 64 and a touchdown. We thought Zach Ertz was too old last year. Definitely thought he was too old this year, but he keeps putting up the numbers. Terry led the squad with 9 targets, but only turned it into a disappointing 5 for 48. And we kind of need Jaden and Terry's chemistry to get kind of meshed back together. Obviously, Terry was holding out for much of training camp, so not lovely to see. But with that said, Deebo Samuel was able to get home 7 for 44 and a touchdown, and it really, really shows the kind of chemistry that he built with JD while Terry was out. So Deebo is a start every week. Zach Ertz is a very good flyer tight end if you need him. Not every week is going to look like this, but definitely a good option. I think JCM is a definite potential RB2 for you moving forward if you kind of punted on running back a little bit. Subscribe, you guys, subscribe. All right, and so we're gonna go scroll through this Facebook group here where people are asking start-sit questions, and I'm just gonna give some of my inputs so you guys can see how I'm feeling about certain players. And if you have similar questions on who to start or sit, like I said, drop them down in the comments. I will be happy to get to those. This guy's question here, Chase Brown or Jason at the flex PPR. That is a easy Chase Brown for me. And we're gonna actually respond to these guys, try to give them a little bit insight. But Chase Brown is going to get every opportunity out of the Cincinnati running back room, and I'm expecting a little bit of a bounce back for them against this Jags defense, which is not very good. So I know Jason is obviously very good, should be startable for most people, but Chase Brown in the flex for me. Should I start Pearsall with Purdy out or Olave? I personally am starting Pearsall. I don't think Mac Jones is too bad of a downgrade, at least for Ricky Pearsall's sake. I think he's definitely not the athlete Purdy is, obviously. But I think with how bad New Orleans offense is, I think Olave is really unlikely to score a touchdown. And I think Pearsall is more likely, and I think he will get kind of a good workload. We saw Brian Thomas Jr. be just fine with Mac Jones at quarterback. So I am Pearsall over Olave personally. Keon Coleman or Devontae Smith. Crazy it is to say, I'm going to go Keon Coleman there until Devontae Smith kind of proves it and prove that passing volume is enough to kind of support him and A.J. Brown, who both had stinkers last week. I'm going to take the better passing attack and Keon Coleman. This person has Kittle hurt now and Goddard hurt. So off the waivers, he's wondering what tight end to pick up. Top of my list there would be Harold Fannin. If you don't get Fannin, I think Fannin is definitely like the clear one here. After that, I don't feel strongly. I'd probably just pick up Jonnu and hope he scores a touchdown. But Harold Fannin for sure there. Juwan Jennings is droppable at this point, right? I would say no. I would hold on to him, especially with Kittle being out. If Juwan Jennings' shoulder proves to be, fine, I would definitely hold on to Jennings unless you're in like a 10-team league and your roster's pretty deep. But I would definitely hold on to Jennings at this point. Full PPR, Bowers might not play. Do I start Jake Ferguson or pick up and play Strange or Harold Fannin? For me, it'd be, honestly, those three are kind of in a tier for me. So since Ferguson's already on your team, I have no problem just staying with Ferguson. Am I doing the right move by benching Warren if London is active? Let's see. Yeah, obviously benching Warren for Mr. Drake London there if he plays, which it sounds like he's going to be. Toss up between Kelsey and Tucker Kraft. Well, I hope he went Tucker Kraft, but we are too late to seeing this. Keon Coleman or Zay Flowers in the flex spot. Easy Zay Flowers for me. He looked amazing week 1, and I think he could be breaking out for sure. Higgins or Sutton rest of season PPR. Not confidently, I'll say Sutton. I think Sutton gets the edge over Higgins. I think Higgins definitely could have bigger ceiling games, just considering the Bengals offense, and they're going to need to score a bunch of points. But from a consistency basis, I like Sutton rest of season. Traded Devontae Smith and got Kenneth Walker. Who won the trade? Depends on your team needs. That's kind of a dumb question. Would anyone start Hollywood over Sutton, Nico, or JSN? No. Start your good players, even if they had a bad week 1. They will bounce back. PPR waiver wire, who would you pick up? This is just ridiculous. We'll move on. Start 2. We got Dobbins versus Indy, Hollywood, Dylan Sampson, Jalen Warren, Rome, Adunze. For me, it is Hollywood, and then let's see. I'll probably do a Hollywood Dylan Sampson as long as that's PPR, although that is pretty close for a couple there. Choose 2 QBs rest of season. Give me Herbert and Dak over Kyler. Eckler or Pacheco. Well, Eckler is now hurt. Opinions, no standard league here. Trade away DK Metcalf, receive Tyreek and Pacheco. I want no parts of any of those guys. So if you need a running back, I would say for sure do it. But if not, I would probably stick with DK there. Bench 1, Travion, Emeka, MHJ, and JSN. I am personally benching Travion probably. Although Marv's close there. Strongly thinking about starting Lawrence over Mahomes. No, I think that's totally reasonable. Obviously, Jacksonville's going against that bad Cincinnati defense, and Mahomes' weapons are hurt. I probably personally would stick with Mahomes just because he's going to put up points at the end of the day, but would not blame you for starting Trevor Lawrence. Let's see, these are too long. Start Gibbs, Dobbins, or Montgomery. That's dumb. Got offered Achane for Neighbors. Should I accept? He has Derrick Henry, Demont, and Dobbins. Depends what your wide receiver depth is, but I would say, yeah, really depends on if you have good depth at wide receivers, but probably not. I think your running backs are fine. Rome Odunze or Tyreek Hill. I say Tyreek Hill for one more week. If not, pretty gloom and doom for anything Miami. Let's move on. Who would you drop to pick up Judkins? Running backs are Gibbs, Jacobs, Kamara. I mean, you don't really need them. I would personally definitely drop Caleb Johnson easily. All right. Flex start. He's wondering between George Pickens, Quentin Johnson, and DJ Moore. I like the George Pickens bounce back. DJ Moore close second. QJ distant third. Who to start at flex in a PPR? Keenan Allen or Isaiah Pacheco? Easily Keenan Allen for me. Hanging on to Golden another week. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind hanging on to Golden for one more week. If it's a deeper league, holding on to him for longer than that, just to see if he can kind of step into a role with Jaden Reed out, but definitely not what you like to see through 2 weeks. Start one, Keenan Allen, Ridley, or Hollywood Brown? This is a very good question. PPR, I don't think Keenan Allen's going to have what he had in week 1 every week. Kind of like a Ridley bounce back, but for this week, I'd say Keenan, Hollywood, Ridley this week. All right. Anyone have faith in Walker anymore? Gloom and doom. This week says a lot about Kenneth Walker's future. Is it ridiculous to start Penix over Burrow? Yeah, definitely starting Burrow, especially against Jacksonville. And skip that. Jordan Mason or JCM? Well, hope you went Jordan Mason, my friend. Trey Benson or Jawan Johnson for flex. Slim pickings, I'm projected to lose. Need the ceiling. Full PPR, I'm definitely doing Jawan Johnson there. Pick one. Egbuka, Neighbors, Keon Coleman. It's just got to be Neighbors, right? He's still that guy. And you're hoping that Jackson Dart takes that starting role from Russ pretty soon. Half PPR, need one flex. Pollard, Devontae Smith, Judy, Hollywood Brown. For me, it is half PPR. Half PPR makes me want to do Pollard. If it was PPR, I'd definitely pick one of the receivers. For me, it's probably between Pollard and Judy. I'll give Pollard a slight lean over Judy in half PPR there. Mr. Brandon was offered Tyreek Hill for T. Higgins. I personally would stick with T. Higgins for now. Henderson or Kamara. I think Kamara provides a safer floor. Henderson perhaps a higher upside. So depending what you need, I will say Kamara for sake there. Tyreek versus Pats or Hollywood versus the Eagles. Non-PPR. If it's non-PPR, I'll take Tyreek. But PPR would be Hollywood for sure. Penix or Nix. Pacheco or Myers. So easily Myers in the flex. And then Penix or Nix. Probably go Bo Nix against Indy's defense. I don't think they're very for real. I think last week was probably a fluke going against a bad Miami offense. Swift and Egbuka for Jonathan Taylor. What y'all think? Yeah, I mean, if you need an upgrade at running back, that's fine. I'd personally like to stay with Emeka Egbuka, but don't mind it. Juwan Johnson or Ingram, full PPR. Not even sure Ingram plays, but Juwan Johnson either way. Pick 6 is crazy. Who should I start in my flex? DJ Moore, Tyreek Hill, or Quentin Johnston? I think we do Tyreek one more week, man. Although that's tough. It'd be Tyreek, DJ Moore, Quentin Johnston for me, but they're pretty damn close. Lost Kittle as tight end, picked up Schultz, Meyer. who would be the better option to start. Let's see. If Bowers doesn't play, Meyer. If Bowers does play, then Schultz for sure. Kyler Murray or Justin Fields? Man, I'll probably lean Justin Fields, to be honest. Purdy out, are we starting Pearsall? Yes, no problem. Starting Pearsall with Mac Jones will be fine. Let's see. Dak or Justin Fields? I like Dak for the bounce back, but don't blame you for starting either. Need 2 wide receivers. I have Devontae Adams, T against Quentin Johnson, or I can play all 3 and bench RJ Harvey. Definitely Adams and Higgins, and then it's actually pretty close between Johnston and Harvey for me. I'd probably do Johnston just because we don't know what Harvey's role will be for sure. Need to drop 1 QB, Fields, Nix, or May. I would drop Drake May pretty easily there. Let's see. Got someone offering Evans for my Wilson. Thinking about counter-offering with Terry instead of Wilson. No. Stick with Evans. Debating who to flex in a half PPR league. Looks like he's deciding between Pearsall, Moore, Pickens. It's got good options. I personally stick with Pearsall. I think he's going to have a good game this week. Dante Thornton or Tyreek Hill? Okay, that is a little far. I will stick Tyreek, at least for this week. All right. Let's do one more here. Pick one. J.K. Dobbins, Tyrone Tracy, Keenan Allen, or Tet McMillan, PPR. Give me Tet for sure in that scenario, especially with it being PPR. All right, there you have it. There's my recap of the Thursday night game. A little start-sit talk for week 2. Like I said, if you have your own start-sit dilemmas, questions, just want someone's input besides your own, drop them down in the comments. I will happily get to those for you. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. I really do appreciate all the support. It really helps grow the channel. So make sure you go and do that. Good luck to everyone on their week 2 matchups. I hope you get the victory. We will see you back on Tuesday for week 2's recap of every single game and the fantasy takeaways. Appreciate the support. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.